Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is Friday, which means it's time for a new How to Bass. And today I'm going to show you a song and a track that I'm working on. It's this sound, this guy, these dudes. It should be pretty obvious what the sound is when we hear it. This is a chunk of a thing of a drop. It's very loud. It goes and it starts immediately. I'm going to play it. Be warned. Playing in 3, 2, 1. Oh my god. I'm so happy because I've been trying to make that sound forever. I kind of knew how to make it because if you look at it, like, if I do my normal analysis thing where I do recording and look at the spectrum, that kind of thing, it's really very clear what's happening. It's very obviously some kind of phaser filter thing. Like, there's a lot of ways to do that. And what brought this on was I actually took my own advice recently and went about actually listening to a whole lot of drum and bass, old school and new school, everybody on Noisiest label, Noisiest themselves, Teddy Killers, Belane, Spore. And I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time actually focusing on the drums. But then when I went to go make this test today, a lot of things fell into place, and I realized that a lot of this stuff is way simpler than I really gave it credit for. So the sound is kind of twofold. There's sort of the sound that it is beneath the phaser, and then there's the phaser. So the sound that it is without the phaser is this sound here. I've actually done a how to bass on this sound before, but I'll still put this in the description for you to download. What this essentially is it's it's just a regular Reese. It's a saw wave plus another saw wave, but divided into sine harmonics, and then the phases are all crazied up and different. It's a different pitch, so that's what's creating the phase cancellation. Run through 2 different types of distortion, but honestly, the secondary distortion isn't super. It's not really that complex. It was an experiment I did at the time. I just kind of happened to result in that. What's that? Like the kicker of what the sound is actually doing is, am I doing? No, I'm not. Okay, I forget why I'm doing this dual Maximus thing. I honestly don't remember why I did what I did with this bass, because it was a very long time ago that I made it. But the kicker is actually just this big old scoop right here. This is what gets us the primary tone of the sound that we got. And just that by itself already sounds kind of old schoolish. And that got me thinking, well, if it already sounds kind of like that already just by this, then perhaps this is the sound that you're supposed to apply the phaser to. Because I had attempted this before on various other sounds, and I got nothing even close to what I wanted. And I've always known that the problem was I didn't have the correct starting sound. And now I have this. And I thought, I've never tried to put a phaser on this in that particular way, so let's actually give that a shot. And that's what this sounds like with a phaser. Which, hilariously, when you play it by itself, it doesn't actually sound as effective as you think it'd be. The beauty of this, and actually this is something that's actually kind of antithetical. It's not really in line with my usual philosophy with how I use effects like this. I actually really don't like using obvious continuous effects like phasers or flangers or any of that. Like I don't like it when you can hear a really obvious like modulation of the effect. That's just kind of like it just sounds hokey and stupid to me. But this style of sound has always been the one example of it that actually worked out pretty well. And there's a reason for this. Is because all the times you ever hear the sound, it's usually by itself. It's for like a moment. It's only like a moment of it. It's not there long enough for you to get a full image of the modulation. And it's usually surrounded by things that are different enough that it sounds like something much more complex. Like that. Like this here is a version of the sound without the phaser, and then there's a this intermediary sound, and then the phaser version. So it's like, it's not there long enough for us to really get a grasp of the pure modulation. It's also like it's surrounded enough by the not phaserness that when it comes in and comes out, it doesn't jar my senses, for that being there. And this is just such like, this was it was kind of an accident, but it wasn't. I wasn't really even trying to get the sound. I was just trying to get something screwed up. I was like, I need some kind of modulation. I'm gonna put a phaser on it, and I know if I do it for a short enough duration that I won't hate it. And then I did, and it turns out that's what was necessary. Go figure. Actually, a lot of these sounds also, like this guy. How close to the Noisia track Exodus does that sound? I've tried to make that sound before, and I didn't even get this close. This is not, super on point, especially when you hear it by itself. But my attempts to do it on purpose were super far from what I got here. And this is just notch modulation. Like this is actually a phaser, I think. Yeah, a flanger. This is a flanger depth modulation, and then this is just one notch, another notch, nothing else. There's no band passes or anything. It's just Reese. This is actually a Reese version of This is actually a version of the first, the main hit. I think it is. Yeah, this is something new. It wasn't the old Reese. And actually, this sound, it's actually really close to some other kinds of songs that I wanted to do before. And this is actually something I did by accident when I was making the Zomboy ripoffs, because it was done using a process that just happened to yield that result. I didn't know that. How could I have known that? And just so many weird epiphanies happened all at once, and I'm really happy because of everything I've ever wanted to do in life. It was this, and now I'm doing it. So I'm extremely happy. Anyway, this patch I'll put in the description. I put the flanger out here because, as it turns out, automating the flanger inside Patcher can sometimes crash it, and I got kind of weird. But what I will do is put out the Patcher, and then I'll put out the mixer insert that contains the flanger. And if it screws up, take a good look. Take a good look at we have this EQ, this flanger, and then this EQ. And this isn't doing anything. This is nothing. So we have pre-flanger, flanger, and then post-flanger. I'm not automating anything. I'm actually letting it do its own thing. Which would actually mean that if I played it this little moment of drop at any other moment in the playlist, it would actually sound different. But I'm okay with that, just because I don't know, a certain amount of randomness can be good in my experience. Not a lot of randomness. I'm usually very cut and dry about having control over everything, but I have learned since that I'm just not gonna. Anyway, I'll figure out how to upload this in a way that you can use it. And yes, so if you have any questions about this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.